For this lesson, we're going to take a look at finding relationships in graphs. In 7.2, we talked about finding relationships inside of tables. So we got used to looking at these XY tables. This time, though, we're going to be finding the same type of relationships, but we're going to be finding them in graphs. And very specifically, it's taking a look at positive and negative slopes. Now, if you recall, a directly proportional relationship would be straight. This is a straight line, so we will call it directly proportional. This is a straight line, so we'll call it directly proportional. So when you look at a graph, if it's a straight line, we'll just go ahead and use the word directly proportional right now. Later, we'll transition you to where we call it a linear equation there. But basically, it's where it's going to change in a certain way that always keeps the relationship straight on a graph, a straight line. And we'll be learning more about that in future lessons. But today, we just want to focus on saying, is it positive or is it negative slope? That's what it comes down to. So we'll get more complex as things go, but we just want to find out, is it positive or negative? When you look at this line that's graphed, always look at the right side of the line. Is it going up? If it's going up, we're going to call it a positive slope. If you notice, this side is going up, or at least we could be if we put the arrow on it, it kept going, but that's on the left side of the line. We want to look on the right side. It's just a way of being able to compare all lines from the same perspective. Since this line is going down to the right, we're going to call it a negative slope. So again, if it's going down to the right, it's going to be a negative slope. If it's going up to the right, it'll be a positive slope. So let's just make sure we understand it. Here's the right side of the line. It's going up, so I'm just going to put a plus sign to show it's positive. This line is going down to the right side, so we're going to call it negative. This one is also going down on the right side, so we'll call it negative. And there's my down arrow. This one is going up on the right side, so we'll call it positive. This one is going down on the right side just barely, but you know what? It's definitely down, so it's a negative. This one on the right side is going up, so it's positive. Then we get down here to this. Well, what if I don't see an arrow? Okay, so it's a line segment. Maybe it's not a full line, but it's a part of the line, and that's what a line segment is. Look on the right side of it. Is it down? Is this side lower than the left side? Yeah. So since it's lower, we'll say it's negative slope. Same thing with this one. The right side is higher than the other side. The right side is higher than the left side, so we'll call it positive. And so you get the idea. This side is further down. It's going down to the right, so we'll call it negative. What about if it's got two arrows? What do we do then? It's going up to the left. It's coming down to the right. Focus on the right side. Always on the right side. It's going down to the right, so we'll call it a negative slope. Same thing. This one is going up to the right. We don't care about what's going on down here. We just don't really care about what's happening on the left side. We're just comparing always the right side, so it keeps us from getting mixed up. This side's going up to the right, so we'll call it positive because it was going up. Over here, going down, so it's negative. This one's going up. Let me fix that arrow there. Now, I think that after watching this video, most people will be able to understand that when you see a graphed relationship, you could instantly tell whether it's a positive slope or a negative slope. So at this point, I've given you the bare essentials. Let's see if we can go a little bit further into understanding why this is true. In our very first lesson, in 7.1, we learned about direct relationships, and we said it has a positive slope when the x values increase and the y values increase. So let's take a look at this. Let's put some values on this x-axis. Let's see, this one will be 0. Let's make this 1, make this one 2, this one will be positive 3. And what do you say we just make this one at 1, make this one at 2, and make this one at 3. And that should be pretty good. Now, let's see. When the x value is 0, what's my y value? 0. So let's get a little chart over here just to the right. When my x value was 0, my y value was 0 because it was right here. Now, at 1, when my y value is 1, right here, let's just say that it's positive 2 for the y. So my y value increased, excuse me, my x value increased. It went from 0 to 1, and my y value also increased. It went from 0 to 2. So there's a plus 1. Here's a plus 2. So they both got bigger. Let's see if it keeps going. Here's 2. And I tell you what, let's just say that it got us 3. So when x goes to 2, my y value is 3. So again, my x value's increased. This one didn't increase as much, but I just did a hand-drawn graph. But did my y value increase? It did. So my x value increased, my y value increased, and we called it positive. And the effect is that it tilts that line where it points it up. The only way that it can keep it going up is if your y value increases at least some rate corresponding to your x value, and that kind of points it up to the right. Now, when we look over here at the negative slope side, you're going to see the exact same thing happening, because with the negative slope, as this x value increases, so I changed it down here, as the negative slope, the x increases, the y decreases. So let's just call this one 0 for x. Let's call this one 1 and 2, and that'll be good enough. And then let's see, what do we want this one? Let's make this one 5, 4, and 3, and this will be 2 and 1. Okay. Now, that's a little sloppy there, so let's see if we can fix that. There, it's a little better. Not by much, but a little bit. Now, when x is 0 on this graph, my y value is not 0. My y value is actually 5. Okay, so that's our starting point. Now, when our x goes to 1, our y value goes down to 4. So our x increased, and see our x is increasing, but our y value went down 1. So that's not good. And then when our x value goes up to 2, our y value comes on down to 3, and it decreased that y value. Again, it went down by 1. So as a result, you can see that we have a negative relationship, and when the x value increases and the y value decreases, it gets our line to fall down to the right. That's trying to tie in the very beginning of this chapter's lesson with direct relationships. However, if you can basically be able to look at a graph and go, oh, this one's a positive relationship, this is a negative relationship, I know it's directly proportional because it has a straight line, then we're in good shape for today's lesson. So again, if it's a straight line, we'll call it directly proportional. If it's not a straight line, like this, let's just say it's curved, it's positive as far as going up, but at the same time it's not perfectly straight, so we'd say not proportional. But if it's got the straight line, it's directly proportional, and then we can go a little bit further and say this has a positive slope, this has a negative slope. For example, we also know that a negative slope just means that the x value increases, y value decreases, and you can look up your notes and see about the positive slope.